So do you know if anybody's joining yet? Or how do we know if
Yeah,
people
I was
are
just going
joining?
to say it should be in participants. Oh, there we go. There's somebody. Hey, folks. Thanks for joining us. We're just going to take a minute or two to let everybody pile in, and then we'll get started. If you're just joining us, thanks for dropping in. We're just giving folks a minute or two to get joined up, and then we'll get started. So just hang tight. Thank you for joining us. We'll get started shortly. All right, Rohit, we're a minute in. Should we get this party on the road?
Sure, let's do that. So
show on the road, party started. I'm mixing my metaphors.
Although I have to keep my voice down, as you can see, I'm in a library. But thanks everyone for coming to our webinar. This is a joint presentation between Matter 365 and Gravity Legal. We're very excited to be able to present to you today the integration that we've built between our two systems. For those of you who don't know, I'm Rohit Parkeh. I'm the VP of Customer Success here at Matter 365, and I'm joined with Dan Lear, who's the resident legal mind, as well as head of partnerships and marketing at Gravity Legal. And if you're involved in Twitter or law Twitter at all, you certainly have seen many of Dan's numerous tweets over the years, and he's been very busy digitizing the practice of law for many years as well. So for today's webinar, Dan's going to take us through some of the why of accepting credit cards and bank transfers makes sense for law firms and lawyers, and then at the end towards the end we'll go through a quick tour of how we can use Gravity Legal payments and how we've integrated into Matter 365. So take it away, Dan.
Awesome. Thanks, Rohit. Please don't hold anything that you've seen on Twitter against me. Oh, and of course now, I'll just go from here. There we go. Yeah. I got to do the obligatory. Can you see my screen?
I think we can see it.
Awesome. All right. So with a title like A New Approach to Getting Paid and all the recent buzz in the news around cryptocurrency, you might think that we're going to dive in on Coinbase or Bitcoin or something like that, but actually, and let me pause, that's a super sexy topic. At some point, I'd love to dive into it. We may have some content coming, but I actually want to throw a statistic at you, and that's this one. Oh, if I can get this working, there we go. And that is 25%. And this is the percentage, according to our research, of law firms that currently accept electronic payments such as credit cards, debit cards, and ACH. And so while it's true that crypto may be the future or even the present for a large percentage of people, within legal, there's still lots of opportunity for lawyers and law firms to better use tools that are right at their fingertips. And so when we talk today about a new approach to getting paid, and when we launch into the integration that we're really excited to show you today, one of the things that I think is most powerful is that these are tools that don't require an understanding of Bitcoin or blockchain. Like, these are tools that are available to lawyers today that can have a meaningful impact on, as we'll show, their firms right away. And I think that's really exciting. As Rohit mentioned, my name is Dan Lear. I'm head of marketing and partnerships at Gravity Legal. I'm also a licensed attorney here in the state of Washington, where I'm based in Seattle, and practiced technology transactions work for a number of years. And Rohit did a great job of sort of teeing this up and getting us set for how I want to approach this webinar today. And I want to really circle around or focus on this question of why. And I want to throw not 5 whys, but 3 whys at you. Why electronic payments? Why Gravity Legal? And then why should you care about this integration that we're so excited about? And before I go any further, let me also mention that I'm just going to plow ahead, but we'll definitely leave time for questions at the end. So if you have questions as we're going along, feel free to put them in the chat. Rohit will keep an eye on them, and my colleague Emery should be joining us as well. And so he'll be keeping an eye on them too. But we'll definitely get to those questions at the end, but I'll just plow ahead and then we'll pick them up as we round out. So those are the 3 questions that we're going to anchor our discussion around today. And I want to just dive right in and ask the question, why electronic payments? And there's really a pretty basic and primary reason, and that is that cash flow matters, particularly for small small law firms and solo lawyers. On our Gravity Legal platform, for those firms that do accept the electronic payments, we see that the average time that a payment is outstanding on our platform is a mere 14 days. And Rohit, I'm sure this is true for you. I talk with lawyers all the time who have AR cycles of 30 days, 60 days, even 90 days. And the ability to get your cash now, as the settlement folks on late night TV say, for a law firm, that is really powerful and really meaningful. And so the simple ability to increase your collections and reduce that accounts receivable time is really important. And not to mention, of course, that we also see that firms who accept electronic payments also get paid more of what they bill out, of what they send out to clients, because when you make it easy for clients to pay, when you make it convenient for clients to pay, they're more likely to pay. There's also some real efficiency gains that lawyers and firms can get through automated payments and automated accounting. In most cases, an electronic payment comes through with an email or some other kind of notification that just tells you, hey, this is where this money's coming from. And if you're accepting cash or paper checks only, you've got to paste that all together. And so right off of the bat, there's an efficiency that comes with electronic payments just in knowing who paid you and to whom this money is attributable. Well, if you go a step further and tie those payments into a practice management system like Matter 365, or even better, tie it back into your accounting system, just as Matter 365 does with QuickBooks Online, you're getting even better data that goes right from where you're getting paid all the way through your practice management system and down into your books, making the reconciliation challenges that you have, making the accounting challenges that you have much less significant. And then finally, reducing the risk of in-person payments. And of course, this last year has shown us that there's a risk in, as I've been saying, exchanging filthy lucre in the form of paper currency, getting into a physical place with someone to pass paper back and forth. And the ability to get electronic payments helps to reduce that risk. But I even want to sort of take the level and the notion of risk up a level and suggest to lawyers and law firms that those firms who were stuck accepting paper currency during the last year were much more vulnerable to kind of the supply shock that our economy felt, or not even the supply shock, but just the shock that our economy felt with the lockdown. And those firms who were getting electronically paid didn't have to worry about the logistics of getting physically into the same place with their clients. We had a client early on in the pandemic, a prospect who called us and said, I'm still getting paid. The client is still happy with my work, but they're sending all of our checks to a lockbox that because of the lockdown, I can't get access to. So everything was working for the firm, but all of the paper checks were going to a place that the lawyer couldn't get access to. So there's a level of risk that is introduced for firms who don't have the flexibility to accept electronic payments that I think increasingly, not to mention the fact that a large number of young people don't know what checks are and very few carry cash. So there's a level of risk that gets introduced for firms who don't accept electronic payments that I think puts them at a significant disadvantage vis-a-vis their competitors who do accept electronic payments. So then why would you work with Gravity Legal? Well, I've got 5 reasons, and let's just go ahead and launch right into them. The first reason is compliance. Again, Rohit and I are both lawyers. We both appreciate that often from our colleagues in the bar, the first question that we get is, can I do this? Can I accept electronic payments? And I still get this question even after credit cards are so ubiquitous in our society today. And the first thing I want to say is that Gravity Legal was built for lawyers with the rules of professional conduct in mind. And in doing that, there's really only one, and again, I'll touch on PCI, but there's really only one thing that firms need to be aware of and be cognizant of in accepting electronic payments. And that is if they elect to accept electronic payments into their trust account. And this is because the way that payment processors typically get paid is that they take a portion of the amount of money that they're moving. So if there's a $2,000 payment from a credit card into a trust account, they typically take around 3% of that. And so the amount of money that gets paid into the trust account, if you will, would theoretically be less than the amount that was asked for. Well, as you know, that $2,000 is not the firm's money. And therefore, as bar associations have decided, which is not something I'm going to argue with, the option or the decision to offer electronic payments, and the cost associated with that, that's a business cost of the firms. That's not something that before a firm can use those expenses to pay for use those funds to pay for their business expenses, it has to be earned. And so if you use a typical processor and they take that money out, you've actually taken the client's money, and you're potentially guilty of converting client funds. And so that's a long way of saying that firms who accept electronic payments into their trust account need to ensure that the fees are being taken out of their operating account. And that's something that we absolutely do. We also protect the trust account by ensuring that if there's a chargeback against any trust account funds, that chargeback fee comes out of the operating account, and similarly an NSF fee for any ACH payments. PCI is a bit of a red herring. I don't want to minimize compliance, but if you're working with a reputable payment processor, they're going to handle PCI. This is payment card industry standard security for you. And they may ask you, which is what we do, to answer a quick questionnaire once a year to ensure that you're PCI compliant. But this is something that firms, I think, rightly are concerned about, but it's something that actually a lot of payment processors use to either, again, we'll get into this later, charge an additional fee or otherwise scare lawyers. When PCI compliance, again, if you're working with a reputable processor, is a box that you can check off pretty easily in your mind of things to worry about or not worry about. Another reason to work with Gravity Legal is to avoid getting ripped off. And we've just written a bunch on our blog about this, so I'm not going to launch into this in too great a detail, but I do want to mention 2 ways that payment processors often rip lawyers and frankly, sometimes businesses off. The first is a monthly fee. And I've just gone through this whole discussion of how payment processors make money, specifically by taking a portion of the transaction. Well, if they're getting paid that way, why are they then charging you kind of coming and going? And payment processors who charge a monthly fee are really just kind of double dipping. We don't charge a monthly fee. We don't think that's the way that processors should work. We're already making our money. And so that's one reason, again, to work with Gravity Legal. Another reason is to avoid what we call tiered pricing, or really just kind of in the pricing landscape in general. We offer a flat fee for both our credit card processing, or our card processing in general, and our ACH. But a lot of processors do what's called tiered pricing. And what they do in tiered pricing is that they create these buckets into which different cards fall, and they associate different payment percentages, different costs with each of these buckets. And then they'll go to a firm and say, hey, for the lower bucket, which is usually the standard bucket, we'll only charge you 1.9%. And then for these higher buckets, we'll charge you more, but this lower bucket is for standard cards. And most firms assume, oh, well, my clients are standard. Standard sounds pretty general. I assume most of my cards are going to fall into that first standard bucket, and therefore I'm going to pay 1.9%. The problem is that it's the payment processor who determines what the contours of these buckets. And they, of course, have an incentive to put a bunch of different types or to put those more common standard cards into the more expensive buckets. And it ends up just being this really manipulative process. And so we don't do that. We give you a flat fee that's transparent and easy to see. And so you always understand how much you're getting charged. Another way actually that payment processors often obfuscate or rip lawyers off is by sending incomprehensible statements, inscrutable payment processing statements. And we've tried really hard to make ours as clear as possible. And I want to just highlight one piece of information that we provide right at the top in bold, which is our effective rate. Because as I mentioned, if you are a firm that's offering both ACH and cards, those rates are different. And what's really helpful, we found for a firm, is understanding, okay, across all of the money that I'm sending through the platform, what am I paying in total? And so this effective rate gives a lot of clarity to a firm about here's how much I'm paying. Another thing that we often see firms do is that, or that we see processors do, is that they'll send a processing statement 2 months late. So you're getting your June processing statement in August. And that makes it also really hard for you to remember what happened in June and go back and put everything back together. We always send our statements the month after. We try to make them as clear as possible, and we provide you this effective rate. And this effective rate is kind of important. I'm going to come back to that in a minute here, because the other thing that we've done in order to help you save money, that's number 4, is that we've integrated ACH really tightly, bank transfers, e-check really tightly into our system. And as a result of it being simply there, you can see I've got that red box around it. We see about, for those firms that we have on our platform who offer both cards and ACH, so who just make these 2 different methods of payment available, we see about 20% to 30% of a firm's volume go to ACH, simply just because it's there. And as I mentioned, cards are 2.95%, whereas ACH is 0.35%. So it's an order of magnitude less expensive. If you can push 20 to 30% of your payments volume through ACH, that's going to reduce your overall effective rate pretty dramatically. So that's one way we help firms save money. We've also built a technology that enables firms to surcharge on their cards, on credit cards in specific. Now, again, not every firm can do this. Rohit, I know you're in Canada, so if you have any Canadian folks with us, unfortunately, it's prohibited in Canada. It's also prohibited in a small number, like a half dozen states in the United States. But for those states where it is permitted, and those firms who choose to do it, and again, not every firm is into this, but for those who do, this can reduce your processing costs dramatically. We see 60, 80, sometimes 90% that firms are able to reduce their processing costs by shifting these costs to their clients. And then finally, the other way that we help firms save money is that we give them the option to offer different payment methods in different situations. We give them a lot of flexibility. So if you have a client who pays a large amount of money really regularly, and it's one that you feel comfortable simply saying to them, hey, if you wouldn't mind, would you just pay me via bank transfer? You have the ability to toggle both credit and debit cards off and just send them an invoice that has bank transfer enabled, so that those clients only pay via bank transfer, and therefore you're able to leverage that lower ACH cost. On the other end of the spectrum, maybe you have a practice that has a high volume of low dollar amount payments, and you just want to make it as easy as possible for people to pay, and you don't really want to, you're even happy to eat the fees in order to improve your collections. Well, we give you the ability to toggle those all on. And there's lots of other creative ways that we've seen firms use these different payment methods in order to kind of strategically shift their fees or lower their costs. Reason number 5 to work with Gravity Legal is integrations. We are the only legal specific payment processor with the Zapier integration. I know there are lots of firms out there who use Zapier to tie a lot of their systems together. We also have a full integration with QuickBooks that's leveraged by the Matter 365 integration as well. And then finally, the reason that we're here today is that we also integrate with Matter 365. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment, but we're really excited about that. And we're really excited that we've built an ecosystem that enables firms to use the technologies that they have in integrating that with their payment processing. And that's really why we love Matter 365, is because they're the only practice management system that's fully integrated with the Microsoft Office suite, which I know, having been a lawyer and having watched legal technology evolve over the last few years, lawyers and law firms use and love. So just a few final comments before we launch into the demo and some questions. Why should you be considering the Matter 365 and Gravity Legal integration? So you might think that if I were asked the question about who's the best payment processor for a law firm, that I would be biased and answer Gravity Legal. And spoiler alert, that's actually not my answer. And firms might be thinking, or you might be thinking, well, should I go with the processor who has the lowest rate, or the best customer service, or the processor that best understands legal? And honestly, my answer to this question is that the best payment processor for your firm is the processor that's integrated with the systems that you already use. Because the modest amount of money that a lower cost processor might save you will be dwarfed by the efficiency gains that you get from having an integrated system that includes payments. So that's why we're really pleased to be that partner for Matter 365. And then the final reason that we really are bullish about this integration is the way that Matter 365 views the practice of law. And I stole this from Rohit. He said this as we were working on the integration. He said, I think that the practice of law can be distilled into 6 words: get clients, do work, and get paid. And as we looked at this opportunity to partner with them, we thought, well, you know what? Matter 365 already gives you a way to manage and keep track of your clients. It gives you a place to manage and track your time and work and facilitate, either if you're a solo or across your firm. And we said, well, we can plug in here and really, I think, use what I think is this really elegant, really smart, really simple way of thinking about the practice of law, provide a platform that does that, again, with the Microsoft 360 ecosystem, which firms already use, in a really powerful and meaningful way. And so we were super excited to kind of check that final box and be that partner for Matter 365. And so, yes, it would be super fun and sexy to do a deep dive into Bitcoin or blockchain. But if firms adopt electronic payments, if they think about using a processor like us that checks a lot of those boxes, and if they're open to this integration that allows firms to kind of check these boxes pretty simply, there's a lot of gains to be had simply by using the tools that firms have. So Rohit, that is all I've got. So I'm going to turn the time back over to you for our demo.
All right, so I will take you now through the process of how we've actually integrated Gravity Legal Payments into Matter 365. So again, the ubiquitous, let me know if you can see my screen. So for those of you who are used to using Matter 365, your existing clients, this will come as no shock to you. On our Matter dashboard, we have now got this new button, which is the Gravity Legal Request a Deposit. We'd always had the deposit funds, which allows you then to track payments that you're getting, whether coming in by check or by cash, but now you can actually make the request directly from the Matter dashboard, or on the in the accounting page under the trust accounting, we have next to any of existing trust accounts, you can request a deposit as well. So this does require you to open a new trust account so we can set all the proper systems up in QuickBooks in our app, but then you can actually request a deposit. So let's look at Matter 1290 North American expansion. We have a current trust balance of $3. That's not going to cover a lot. So if you want to actually request a deposit, all you have to do is click this request a deposit. We're going to launch an email. It's automatically going to pull the recipients of whoever your client is and their email address. I'm actually going to put my own in here so I can show you what it looks like and what the client's going to see. You can type in additional recipients. Oops, I forgot you have to enter. If you want to add more people, but otherwise you can just put in, oops, again. I'm usually much better at typing when people aren't looking. Oops, again. Pay retainer. Once all that is done, I have to actually put in an amount as well, otherwise it won't go over to send, and you just hit the blue send button. So it's going to take a moment because now we're reaching into Gravity Legal to pull out the proper payment link and everything else, and then sending that link off to your client. So now the notification was sent, so I'm going to look in my inbox, and there it is. And so this, when you set up your Gravity Legal site, or sorry, on the Gravity Legal site, your account, you can set up what the email is going to look like. You can put your logo in. You know, this is a development account, so it doesn't look very pretty, but this is what your client is going to see when you make the request. They get the link. They can click to pay online. Now it's going to launch them onto the Gravity Legal payment processing site, but you can see you again can brand this for your own law firm. It's going to show you who's requesting the money, the amount is, and as Dan mentioned, you can actually select payment debit card or do a bank transfer. They have the ability to put that in there. I'm going to again just put in my information so you can see what the receipt looks like. And then I'm going to copy some dummy information. And then hit complete payment. So now we're sending the credit card information through the Gravity Legal payment processor. It's going to charge the credit card of the client that they just put in. And then when the payments come in, there's going to be a notification. There's going to be a receipt sent, and I'll show you what that receipt looks to. So again, this is what your client is seeing when they pay it. And this is the email receipt they're going to get. It's going to say you got the payment. It's going to have a transaction ID, letting you know what card it was and who got paid. So that's all great, but then how does it look in Matter 365? Again, if we go back here, so I put it into 1290. If we reload this page, you'll see that trust balance is going to increase from 3,000 to 1,003. Again, it usually takes a couple seconds for it to load because we're doing a constant two-way synchronization with QuickBooks to make sure that all the information that you see on Matter 365 is the exact information that you see in QuickBooks. So there we go, 1290, we can see the $1,000 has already been put in. If I were to go into QuickBooks in the proper sub-liability account, again, right, it had $3. If I reload this now, we're going to see that it's going to have shown that $1,000 deposit. If it doesn't kick me out, no, it's all good. And there you can see the $1,000 put in on today's date. So again, as Dan was saying, the best payment processing system you can have is the one you're actually going to use. It's the one that fits in with your system. And we've really tried to make it super simple and easy, keeping with generally Matter 365 principles, is we want to make it so easy, even a lawyer could use it. So when you have a trust request, you click the button, your client follows through, hits the buttons, and then everything gets automatically put into your QuickBooks. It's automatically put into Matter 365, and then you can start charging against that trust immediately. So there are a couple things that else I wanted to show you. What we've set up in our settings. So if you are interested in Gravity Legal, if you go to your main settings in your Matter 365 account, you're going to see this new Gravity Legal integration button here. If you click on that, if you already have it, well, because I've already set this up, you're going to see a sign up with Gravity Legal, or you can hit another button saying connect to Gravity Legal. So if once you have a Gravity Legal account, you hit the connect button, it's going to ask you to log in. Super simple and easy to say when we have our QuickBooks set up. Or if you want to sign up, you just click on the sign up to Gravity Legal. Because they are doing payment processing, there are a lot of financial regulations that they have to deal with. So it's not going to be instant access to Gravity Legal. It may take a couple of days for your application to be approved, but they're going to work with you as quickly as they can to get that done. The other feature that unfortunately I can't show you today, but as you know, when you first when you first send off invoices, you have let me back up a second. The other part of the integration that we're building in is payment, not just of trust deposits or retainer payments, but also payment of invoices. I can't show you this today because we haven't got this set up completely, but it should be up and ready by next week, that we're actually putting a Gravity Legal payment on every invoice that you send out through the system. So as you know, in Matter 365, you generate your invoices here, you sync them to QuickBooks and then send them from QuickBooks. There will be a Gravity Legal Gravity Legal link sent with those invoices so they can click in and pay it the same way we just showed you. And all those payments will be marked against the invoices in QuickBooks, and you'll see the payments reflected here through our integration with QuickBooks as well. And so that's everything that I wanted to show on this side. So I'm going to stop my sharing. And I think at this point, I think there were a couple questions that I saw that came in.
Yeah, we do have a couple, and actually, folks, you might have also noticed that Emery joined. He's my colleague at Gravity Legal, and again, Rohit's statement about so easy a lawyer can use it. He's also our payments expert. I'm the well, I was going to say I'm the brains, he's the face, or I'm the face, he's the brains, but he's the face and the brains. And we do have a question here, Emery, that I thought you'd be ideally suited to answer. I've got someone saying the question is whether this integration will support multi-currency transactions. We have QuickBooks with a US trust under one company in QuickBooks, a Canadian trust, a Canadian dollar trust under another company, and a US general and a Canadian general account, both under a single QuickBooks company. Is that something that that we can support? And maybe this is a follow up with us later and we can see if we can help you.
Yeah, and I think and I remember Charles had asked this question to us once before, and so just so you're aware, Emery and Dan and everybody else, the integration between Matter 365 and QuickBooks only allows you to link to one trust account or one general account. And so that was a bit of an issue, but I think leaving aside the Matter 365 integration, can Gravity Legal support this multi-currency, multi-account system?
We can only have one currency per account, per Gravity Legal account. So if you wanted to process in say Canadian dollars and in US dollars, the clients that we have that are doing that now have to, unfortunately, they have to have two different Gravity Legal accounts. One for each of those currencies. So I'd have to think a little bit more about the exact setup, and maybe I could get back.
Yeah, I can get you Charles' contact information.
More information.
So we can follow up. Oh, you're on mute, Dan.
Yep, this is where Bitcoin may come in helpful, Charles. So we'll talk later. There are a few more questions in the Q&A. I'm mindful that we're over, so if folks need to drop, feel free. But there's at least one of these I know we can tick off. Crystal asks, can you accept e-checks as well? Absolutely. That's the ACH piece that I was talking about. So that's definitely something that we can do and that the integration supports. Let's see, we have clients internationally and need to be able to accept payments in US dollars from clients from an international bank. Is that an issue? So Emery, this is credit cards internationally is not an issue. For ACH, I believe we only support the US right now. Is that right?
Yes, ACH is a US bank to US bank system. So unfortunately, both the firm and the client need to have a US bank to make that transfer. So right now, the only option for doing that would be through a credit card.
Crystal asked about crypto. Not yet, but again, like I said, we feel like there's so many gains to be had from firms just accepting electronic payments. But good to know that that's of interest, and it's definitely something we've thought about. So watch this space potentially for the future. Kristen had a question. Can you set up a reminder for a request? I don't think. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So under the current system, so our V1 that we have that I showed you, where you're actually requesting a retainer via email, we don't have that reminder ability turned on yet, but that is something that we are looking at to do. But the other thing I didn't mention, and I should mention, that once you get a Gravity Legal account and you actually log into their system, it is much more sophisticated than the simple little two button things that I'm showing you here. So maybe Emery and Dan, you can talk about how, once a request is made, or what other systems or what other requests can be made directly from the Gravity Legal site if they're looking for recurring payments or reminders.
Yeah, that was one of the other questions, Kristen. You asked about recurring scheduled payments. That's absolutely something that we support on the Gravity Legal side. We call them subscriptions, but they can be either subscriptions or installment type payments. That information currently wouldn't sync back to Matter 365 because you'd be running it solely out of our system. But again, it's good to know that this is what folks are interested in, because as we think about longer term, yeah, and Crystal just asked that same question, recurring monthly payments for his monthly retainers. Absolutely. That's definitely something we can do. Again, currently that information wouldn't get sent back into Matter 365, but that's absolutely something that you can do on our platform.
Well, it would actually
shortly.
It's right, actually would get back into Matter 365, because if you're setting up those recurring payments going into your trust account, as opposed to just generally going into your operating account,
That's right.
then that will show up in Matter 365 because we're reading that information from QuickBooks.
Oh, that's right. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't be able to set it up in Matter 365. They'd set it up in.
That's right.
Yeah.
They would do it on the Gravity Legal portal, but you would
but
see
it would
those
show
deposits come through. Yeah.
Cool. That's great. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that piece. So I think we've answered all of the questions. The last thing I actually meant for folks to do, oh, we had one more question. While I'm pulling this up, I'm going to share my screen, everyone. Emery and Rohit, do you want to answer that last question? Can you guys see that?
Sure.
Oop.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Oh, this for creating a custom payment link. You can, I'll let Rohit speak to Matter 365, but you can definitely do this in Gravity Legal and have, with the new integration coming, enhancement coming with QuickBooks in the next couple of days, you'll be able to sync, create that payment page of a specific amount. It can be of a specific amount or of a variable amount if you want to give the clients the opportunity to type in what they would like to pay. And then that payment will get marked in QuickBooks after that payment's complete.
Yeah, and I think, speaking directly to Crystal and Kristen, because they're both from the same firm, I think what actually might make sense is for you and Ian and Crystal for all of us to get on a demo with Gravity Legal and to have me involved as well, because I think a lot of these questions, if you saw the demo of the Gravity Legal platform itself, a lot of these questions would get resolved, and then we can help answer and show you how you can best integrate that into Matter 365. So
that was the reason
after this.
Yeah, that was the reason that I wanted to pull this last slide up and just tell folks how they can get a hold of us. You can find out more about the integration at gravity-legal.com/M365, as you see. And then folks can reach out to me. And again, if you've got Rohit's email, you can go to him as well. But here's my email address if folks want to reach out. I think that's all we had. Again, I'm mindful of the time. We love the questions, but we've also gone over, which is great. So
and if there are any other questions, if you want to reach out to me again, my email is rohit@matter365.com. We're happy to answer any questions on Gravity Legal integration or anything else, as always. But yeah, for Crystal in particular, if you guys want to set up a demo have me on the line as well, I'm happy to set that up.
Yeah, Crystal says, Rohit, can you please schedule us with our firm, you and Gravity, please? So we'll look forward to talking to you soon, Crystal.
Yeah, we'll set it up.
Otherwise, thank you all for joining us. We hope this was helpful. Again, this is where you can find out more about our integration. We're excited to see it in the world, and we appreciated having you folks with us today.
All right. Thanks, everyone.